She believed he was a sad guest until she discovered he owned the hotel, changed everything forever. The heavy wooden doors of the Evergreen Inn swung open, and the sound echoed like a clap of thunder through the nearly empty lobby. It was an unsuspecting day, but it felt like the calm before a storm. Joanna, the receptionist, caught sight of him tall, brooding, with a face that spoke of mournful tales and sleepless nights. He shuffled in like a ghost, almost blending into the shadows cast by the dim chandelier lights. It gave her a tight feeling in her chest, a silent call to curiosity that whispered, "Who is he?" His clothes, visibly worn but oddly expensive, hung on him like he was wearing someone else's skin. The soft murmur of the wind outside wrapped around the inn, sending shivers up her spine. Was it just her imagination, or was he somehow out of place? It was odd enough for a quiet little town to see such a figure. Most visitors came for the idyllic views and warmth of the welcoming community. But him? He seemed lost, and she couldn't shake the feeling that something about him was deeply wrong. As she watched from behind her desk, a family with bright smiles swung the door open next. Their laughter bounced off the walls, a stark contrast to the forlorn man shuffling by. Joanna stole glances, her heart racing. What was this man doing here? Did he have a story? She shook her head, trying to focus, but her eyes betrayed her. She was drawn like a moth to a flame. There was something unsettling and compelling about him. Just then, he turned, his eyes locking onto hers. A rush of icy panic flooded her veins. His gaze was piercing, intense, and for a moment, she felt like he saw right through her. The moment stretched like elastic, and she could hear the chatter in the lobby dim as if the world paused to wait for the next move. Then, without a word, he turned away and slipped further into the inn's shadows. Joanna felt a lump in her throat, as if she had swallowed too much ice-cold water. She had to know more. Just as she made up her mind to follow him, a voice interrupted. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect." With her mind in a flurry, Joanna couldn't shake the feeling that this man was somehow connected to the inn itself. What if he owned it? The thought sent chills down her spine. She took a deep breath, her heart pounding like a drum. The very air tingled with unanswered questions. Who was he, really? Why did he look so haunted? And as the whispers of the guests grew louder in the background, she felt a tightening in her chest. Something was about to unravel, and she was right in the middle of it all. She stepped cautiously toward the back hallway, preparing to uncover the truth behind the shadows. What secrets lay in wait? Would she regret reaching for them, or would she discover a mystery that could change everything forever? Joanna's footsteps echoed softly on the worn wooden planks of the hallway. The air thickened with an unsettling silence, each corner casting its own daunting shadows. She instinctively pressed her hand against the smooth surface of the desk as she passed, using it as an anchor for the rush of uncertainty swirling within her. Following the man was a risk, but she couldn't ignore the pulse of intrigue drawing her deeper into the inn. Was she about to uncover something significant, or was curiosity leading her into a trap laid by destiny? She quickened her pace, her heartbeat matching the heavy breath of the building, and she turned the corner, peering into a dimly lit room lined with forgotten furniture. From her vantage point, she caught glimpses of him standing by a cracked window, silhouetted against the fading daylight. He appeared lost in thought, staring out into the overgrown garden that sprawled outside like tangled memories. This was her chance. "Excuse me," she ventured, trying to keep her voice steady though the tremor betrayed her. The man turned slowly, his features cast in shadow. I couldn't help but notice you when you came in." He inhaled sharply, eyes narrowing as he evaluated her. The air grew heavy with tension, electric yet suffocating. "Why are you here?" His voice was low, strained, like it had been unused for too long. "I'm just curious. This inn, there's something about it, something about you." The words tumbled out before she could stop them. What was she doing? Pushing further into the unknown. Yet, her instincts urged her on. He stepped closer, and even in the dim light, she noticed the weariness etched across his face. "Curiosity can lead to regret," he warned, voice barely above a whisper. "What do you mean?" The question slipped from her tongue before she could rein it back in. She was already in too deep, and every nerve in her body screamed for answers. He clenched his jaw, like he was weighing the implications of sharing his truth. "This inn, it's a keeper of secrets. It holds the kind of weight that can crush you if you're not careful." Joanna's stomach twisted. What kind of secrets? Suddenly, a distant crash filled the air, followed by the groans of wood adjusting. The fear in Joanna's heart thudded against her ribs. She glanced towards the hallway, her resolve darkening. "Please, come closer so we can talk." He gestured towards a small table draped with an old, moth-eaten cloth. A flickering light illuminated the chaos of the room in sporadic bursts. As she approached, she noticed the cracks in the walls, the hints of a past filled with pain and sorrow. It only heightened her curiosity. "What do you want from me?" she whispered, suddenly aware of just how vulnerable she was in that moment. "Just, know that not everything is as simple as it appears." His eyes deepened with shadows, and for a brief second, she thought she saw a glimmer of desperation mixed with weariness. "The inn holds memories of loss and betrayal as well as hospitality. If you're seeking answers, they come with a price." Joanna felt the lump in her throat return. Was she willing to pay whatever price lay ahead? In that moment of hesitation, she sensed a presence creeping closer, like a cold draft wrapping around her. "What did I get myself into?" she muttered under her breath, realizing that her pursuit of knowledge could plunge her deeper into mystery. Could the shadows around her be hiding something she wasn't ready to face? A chilling laugh echoed in the distance, resonating through the hallway, and sending a fresh wave of unease crashing over her. What lay behind those shadows? She turned back to him, her determination solidifying. "I'm not backing down. I want to know." But as she spoke the words, the lights flickered violently, plunging the room into darkness. Was it simply a power failure? Or something else? As her heart raced, every instinct screamed that uncovering the truth would come at a grave cost, one she might not be prepared to pay. What awaited her in the folds of that darkness? Would she confront the inn's secrets, or would they consume her whole? As her thoughts raced, the weight of the unknown loomed before her like a blackened door waiting to be opened. The sudden darkness swallowed her whole. Joanna's breath quickened, and panic surged within her as she fumbled forward, heart pounding like a drum in her chest. The shadows felt alive, creeping closer, whispering secrets and fears she couldn't quite grasp. She steadied herself against the table, her fingers brushing against the rough fabric of the cloth. "Stay calm, Joanna. Just stay calm," she muttered, her voice a shaky melody against the suffocating silence. A soft gasp escaped her as she heard footsteps approaching. The man's silhouette emerged, a specter cutting through the uncertainty like a blade. The shift of his weight brought her an odd sense of relief, yet caution still darted through her veins. "Is this part of the experience?" she quipped, trying to inject humor into a situation spiraling toward dread. "Not exactly," he replied, the faintest trace of a smile teasing the corners of his mouth. "But darkness reveals what the light often hides." "What do you mean?" Joanna's heart raced. Was he mocking her or holding the key to everything? The questions bombarded her with a ferocity that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. Just as she sought to step closer, a sudden crash echoed through the halls, freezing her in place. The sound reverberated like an angry shout, rattling the very bones of the inn. "What was that?" she whispered, her pulse leaping. That he didn't answer right away. Instead, he glanced toward the door, his expression morphing into one of grim realization. It's always the secrets of the past that weigh heavily on this place. Sometimes, they break free. Free. Joanna echoed, her mind racing with the implications. What who? Before she could finish, the lights flickered back on, harsh and revealing. For a brief moment, normalcy returned. Shadows receded, and she could see him clearly now, his features sharp, revealing an intensity that sent a shiver racing down her spine. Listen, he urged, stepping closer, his voice barely above a whisper. If you're truly intent on discovering what this place holds, you need to understand the kind of darkness you're dealing with. What darkness? Joanna pressed, the knot in her stomach tightening as a creeping dread took hold. He glanced toward the cracks in the wall, then back to her, thoughts swirling behind his piercing gaze. Years of pain, betrayal, and unsolved hauntings some visitors never truly leave. Her breath hitched. Are you saying people died here? Not just died. Their souls linger. For some, this inn is a refuge, for others, it's a cage. An icy wave washed over her, every instinct begging her to flee. Yet she had wanted this. Was she really willing to explore the depths of such terror? Without waiting for an answer, she grabbed the edge of the table. I have to see no. His voice cut through her resolve like glass. You can't simply look. The truth is a living thing. It feeds on fear, and if you're too curious, it may find a way to feast on you. Torn between her burning curiosity and a gnawing sense of dread, Joanna pondered his words. What other horrors lingered in this ancient, in her mind spinning with possibilities? The lights flickered again, and Joanna felt a shift in the air. A whisper brushed against her ear, so faint she almost didn't catch it. Help us find peace. Her skin prickled with cold, and she stumbled back, crashing into a wooden chair that clattered to the ground. What was that? She gasped, wide-eyed. That he glanced at her, a mix of concern and urgency flashing in his eyes. It's starting what? She asked, breathlessly. It's not just the inn that holds the secrets. It's you, too. It's time to discover the truth about yourself and the ones who came before you. In that moment, the walls seemed to close in, shadows dancing towards her like ghastly specters. Who was she to unravel such a tangled web of history? Will you venture deeper into the depths of your own story? He asked, the air thick with expectation, and before she could answer, another crash resounded, louder this time, echoing through the inn with undeniable force. What now? She exclaimed, dread pooling in her gut. With her heart in her throat, she watched as the doorway melted back into shadow. Something or someone was coming. Would she stand her ground against the unknown, or would she succumb to the fears that clawed at her sanity? As the darkness loomed, Joanna's thoughts spiraled wildly. What truth awaited her beyond that threshold? The weight of the past was closing in, and she could feel the tension crackle in the air. What horror or revelation lay at the edge of the darkness? With a steadying breath, she made her choice at the precipice of terror. Would she regret what came next? The shadows writhed like serpents, pulsating with a dark energy that threatened to swallow her whole. Joanna's pulse quickened, the fear wrapping tighter around her chest. Each minute that passed felt like an hour, and the oppressive atmosphere grew heavier with every creaking floorboard. Before she could muster the courage to speak, a chilling laugh echoed from the depths of the shadows. It sent a jolt through her, paralyzing her in place. The sound was grotesque, both mocking and sorrowful, as if the very walls wept for unspoken sorrows. Do you think running will help? A voice slithered out from the darkness, smooth and dripping with malice. You can't escape that way. Joanna's heart sank. Who are you? She called out, forcing her voice to remain steady. That a figure stepped into the feeble light, his face twisted into a grotesque mask of mockery. Oh, I'm just a friend to the lost, the one who listens when no one else will. He took a step forward, the light glinting off something sharp strapped to his belt. And trust me, so many have been lost here. Behind him, she could see the shadows writhing, seething in anticipation. They were hungry, alive, eager to consume. The man moved closer, and the air suddenly felt frigid, each breath Joanna took sharp enough to cut. "Do you know why you're here, Joanna?" He leaned in, his voice like silk. "You think you came for a getaway, but you've been drawn in like a moth to a flame. Stop it!" She shouted, desperation clawing at her insides. The panic that had once gripped her muscles now surged, urging her to fight or flee. "I'm not afraid of you." His laughter echoed again, rich and eerie. "Fear is such a visceral thing, isn't it? But I see you're not like the others." He leaned closer, his breath like frost against her skin. "You have a choice to confront what lies ahead, or to succumb to the darkness behind you." The inner struggle raged within her. Was this a game? Was she merely another guest in this twisted hotel of horrors? The darkness seemed to pulse, tearing at her resolve. Could she actually confront whatever lay beyond that threshold? As she stood rooted to the spot, she heard it again, the whisper. "Help us find peace." The shadows began to swirl, growing bolder at the sound. Joanna felt herself drawn. Who are you?" she murmured, caught between terror and intrigue. With a sharp wave of his hand, the man dismissed her question. "Forget the dead, their time is over. What matters now is you, Joanna. You must let them in." Before she could question his meaning, he snapped his fingers, and the atmosphere shifted. Light flickered violently, creating a strobe of brilliant fear. Her surroundings warped and twisted, revealing glimpses of the tragic past, figures frozen in time, trapped in sorrow. "Why show me this?" she shouted over the cacophony. "Because you need to know that the past is never free, it lingers. The inn thrives on the stories of those it consumed, and you, my dear, are part of that tapestry." He stepped back, a satisfied grin spreading across his face. "You see, the darkness is waiting for you to choose, to remember or to forget." The walls trembled, echoing with cries and whispers of despair. Joanna felt the weight of their pain pressing down on her, threatening to suffocate her under its enormity. "Choose wisely." With that, he retreated into the darkness, leaving Joanna alone with the memories, their weight a haunting echo through her mind. She clawed at her heart, torn between the alluring depths of her own story and the gnawing dread of uncovering what lay hidden within, what awaited her in those shadows. Would she awaken a past better left undisturbed, or could she finally release the souls trapped within these walls? In that moment of unbearable silence, she knew her choice would reshape everything. But now, the question loomed larger than ever: was she brave enough to step into the unknown and face the demons of both the inn and her own heart? Joanna stood in the silence that felt more like a scream echoing in her ears. The flickering light stilled, casting her surroundings in an eerie glow. She scanned the room, half expecting the man to return, but the shadows were quiet, as if they too held their breath. The whispering voices returned, weaving tales that slipped through her consciousness like sand through fingers. "Help us," they beckoned. "Remember us." Her heart raced, the urge to bolt the only thing keeping her moving. Yet, something deeper pulled at her, a thread of curiosity amidst the darkness. What were these souls? What stories did they hold? She felt as if they were drowning, and she was their only lifeline. With hesitant steps, she moved deeper into the room, the floorboards creaking like an old voice telling secrets long buried. The walls closed in, painted with memories of joy and sorrow, laughter and despair. She reached out, tracing the cold surface, hoping to find an answer beneath the peeling wallpaper. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept through the corridor outside, carrying the scent of damp earth and decay. Joanna shuddered. Hadn't she locked that door when she arrived? Her pulse quickened as the thought danced away, replaced by the urgent whispers again. They grew louder, sharper, like panic-set echoes, a chorus pleading for release. "Find peace," they urged. We've waited long enough. She turned, an impulse to escape surging within. But this felt like more than just a choice, it felt like a calling. Gripping the fabric of her shirt, she took a steady breath and turned back toward the shadows. With every step she took, the weight of the past crashed down upon her, ambient memories swirling, enveloping her in their despair. A fragmented vision appeared, memories colliding and refusing to relent. A woman crying for a lost love. A child wandering, searching for home. A man, the man from before, standing over them, a twisted grin across his face. Joanna stopped. Was this the man's doing? Had he caused all this suffering? The question spiraled, a whirlwind threatening to pull her under. Yet in that moment, she recalled his words, "You have a choice." "Right," she murmured, eyes blazing with determination. "You say I have a choice, but what happens if I choose to remember?" The shadows pulsed around her, reacting to her bravery. For the first time, they didn't seem threatening but instead beckoned her forward. The air crackled with energy, electrifying her skin, urging her onward into the heart of the darkness. "Help us!" The voices cried in unison, crashing in waves, rising and falling like a tide, and then everything shifted. The shadows waned, revealing a long-forgotten room with a dusty mirror reflecting back a face she didn't recognize. She stepped closer, breath caught in her throat. As she peered into the depths, she saw glimpses of the hotel's horrific past spilling out, images flashing before her eyes, a tapestry of lost lives woven with her own. The realization hit hard, her breath escaping in a gasp. "I'm part of this." Across the void, the man reappeared, this time with a twisted scowl. "You shouldn't have done that." Panic clawed at her again as the room began to tremble, the shadows closing in once more, angry and alive. As chaos erupted, Joanna turned to run, but there was nowhere to go. The walls shifted, morphing into a labyrinth of despair. The whispers escalated, a storm of voices drowning her in confusion. "Help us, help us, help us!" she stumbled, her heart thundering, knowing she had awakened something dreadful. She was tethered to the very essence of the inn, and now there was no going back. But what would she need to face to seek their peace? Determined to confront whatever horrors lay ahead, she whispered to herself, "I will find a way." Just then, glimmers of light broke through the dark, fragments of what could be a path, a promise, or perhaps another shadow lurking just out of sight. Would she have the strength to traverse this unknown road ahead? Only time would tell. Joanna's breath quickened as the shadows closed in around her, thickening with every second. Her heart beat like a drum, echoing the whispers that had enveloped her, as if they were clamoring for attention. The air was charged, crackling with fear and uncertainty. She stood still, half expecting the man to emerge and assert his control once more. But he didn't come. Instead, the walls seemed to pulse, almost alive, as if they were recognizing her presence. She fought the instinct to flee, to run away from the shadows pulling at her, pulling her deeper into the hotel's twisted history. This wasn't just a hotel, it was a graveyard of untold stories, and somehow, she was entwined in its web. "Help us!" The voices were softer now, almost intimate. They whispered her name. Joanna took a step forward, the floor creaking beneath her feet, almost warning her of the dangers that awaited. Images swirled in her mind, flickers of what had been and what could be. She saw the man again, his grin morphing, his silhouette blending with the shadows, a specter of potential evil. She recalled the woman crying, the child searching. All of them connected by pain. "Why me?" She shouted into the void, her voice ringing against the walls. Silence hung heavy, and for a fleeting moment, Joanna thought she might hear their answer. Instead, the air thickened, constraining her chest, making it hard to breathe. It was then that she noticed something shaped shifting in the darkness. The shadows began to contour around her, forming figures, each flickering in and out of sight like a broken contract with the light. They were memories, perhaps, or remnants of the past, and in their movement, she sensed their urgency. "Find it, find the truth," they intoned, each word vibrating with desperation. Her courage surged but was tempered by a gnawing fear. What truth? What were they asking her to uncover? Every pulse of the darkness felt like a challenge, daring her to confront the secrets hidden behind the veil of time. Suddenly, a loud crash erupted from somewhere nearby, jolting her from her reverie. The sound reverberated, loud and jarring, like a thunderclap in a clear sky. She spun toward it, her instinct to investigate overpowering her fear. Help us. The voices cried again, now rising in a crescendo, and Joanna felt the energy around her shift. She was no longer just an observer, she was a participant in whatever horrific play was unfolding. The corridor stretched out before her, a tunnel of darkness swirling with the past. Walls decoratively cracked, peeling paint revealing splotches of color like bruises on a fading memory. Swallowing hard, she stepped forward into the unknown, the chaotic whispers guiding her. Each step felt monumental, her own pulse syncing with the rhythm of the hotel's history. What was this place really hiding? Her gut told her this was just the beginning, that the answers lay deeper, perhaps even in the very places she feared the most. Then, amid the chaos, she caught a glimpse, a faint glimmer from the end of the hallway, a door slightly ajar, glowing with a haunting light. Her heart raced. Could this be the doorway to understanding? Or was it a trap laid by the very shadows that whispered her name? As she approached, the light flickered erratically, casting elongated shadows that danced eerily against the walls. The voices faded, leaving behind a charged anticipation, every nerve in her body alight with the potential of what she might find. What lay beyond that threshold? Was it a key to liberating those lost souls? Or would it lead her deeper into the man's web, tightening the noose she could feel around her heart? Joanna paused, her hand hovering over the door, before summoning the strength to push it open. The moment of truth approached. Whatever awaited her on the other side could change everything or end it all. Joanna's pulse thudded in her ears, drowning out the final whispers as she pushed the door open. It creaked ominously, protesting her intrusion, sending a shiver racing down her spine. The light spilled out like a beacon, illuminating the dust motes that danced in the stale air, but it also revealed something far more sinister. Inside, the room was oddly serene. An antique dresser stood against one wall, draped with a frayed lace cloth. A solitary window, framed by heavy crimson drapes, beckoned with a strange allure. But it was the mirror above the dresser that caught her eye, its surface shimmering in an unsettling way. Shadows flickered in it, intertwined figures that shouldn't be there. What is this place? She whispered, feeling as if the very walls were listening. She stepped further inside, her shoes making soft muffled sounds against the worn carpet. Every inch of her being screamed for her to turn back, but curiosity outweighed her dread. She had to see this through. The whispers surged louder as if they could sense her decision. Find it the truth before it's too late, they echoed in her head, intertwining her thoughts with an urgency she couldn't ignore. As she approached the mirror, her reflection distorted. It didn't just show her face, layers of history peeled away, revealing an array of figures, people trapped in moments of despair. The woman she'd seen before, tears streaming down her cheeks, the child searching desperately, and a tall, shadowy figure lingering in the background. Who are you? Joanna breathed, pressing her palm against the cool surface of the glass. The moment she touched it, a jolt of energy coursed through her body, and the world around her darkened. The echo of footsteps thundered in her ears, growing louder, more frantic, accompanied by the growing sensation of being watched. Then, suddenly, silence. A palpable stillness enveloped her, and with it, the urge to flee intensified. She turned away from the mirror, her heart racing. I need to go. The door slammed shut with a bang, reverberating ominously and sending a jolt of electricity through the air. Panic surged within her. She lunged for the doorknob, twisting it frantically, but it wouldn't budge. Let me out! She screamed, her voice raw with desperation, and then she heard it, a low, menacing laughter, echoing through the very walls of the room. Each laugh seemed to amplify her fear, vibrating through her veins. You think you can leave? Not yet. The voice dripped with malice, and Joanna's gut twisted at the realization that it was not just in her head. A shadow began to form in the corner of the room, gathering strength and substance. Her breath hitched as she recognized the figure emerging, a tall man, the very same one whose face haunted her dreams. His grin was wide, predatory, illuminating his sharp features as he stepped closer. Welcome to the heart of your dilemma, he replied, his voice smooth, almost soothing, but carrying an undertone that made her blood run cold. You've opened a door that you can't close. What do you want from me? Joanna demanded, desperately fighting the urge to collapse. I didn't ask for any of this. Oh, but you did, he said, each word slow and deliberate, as if savoring the moment. You called, and now the past requires its due. The shadows danced around him, swirling, enveloping her in a chilling embrace that made her skin crawl. Joanna was trapped, the weight of the truth pressing in on her, filling her lungs, making every breath a struggle. There is something you're not telling me, she said, recognizing the rumble of a deeper reality beneath his smooth facade. And even as she spoke, fragments of memories danced in her mind, moments she'd buried deep, people lost, lives shattered. The man leaned closer, his eyes glinting with an unnatural light. Every story has a cost, Joanna. Are you ready to pay? In that moment, she realized this was not just about her confronting darkness, it was about entering a web spun from pain and vengeance. Find it, the shadows echoed once more, but this time her determination hardened. She wouldn't let fear blind her any longer. Could she uncover the truth that intertwined their fates, or would it consume her? As the echoes faded into silence, the mirror seemed to beckon her again. What answers would it offer next? Would she unravel the mystery, or was it a journey into madness? The tall man's shadow loomed larger as his cold laughter enveloped the room. Joanna's instincts screamed for her to escape, but her feet felt rooted to the ground. What do you mean the past requires its due? She managed to choke out, fighting the rising tide of panic. His smile twisted into something more sinister. You think your life is yours to control? Every choice you've made has led you here. Images surged into her mind, flashes of forgotten moments. A family gathering in a warm house, laughter mixing with music, a small child lost in a dark crowd, the screams echoing in her ears. Joanna staggered, clutching her head as memories crashed against her like waves. Stop. Her voice was barely a whisper, caught in the grip of terror. I don't understand. Understanding is not your gift, Joanna, he said, his voice nearly a caress. You wish to know the truth, and the truth is the mirror pulsed with energy, drawing her in again. The figures reflected within twisted and contorted, desperate hands reaching out, calling for her. Save us. A voice cried, familiar yet distorted. It was the woman with tears, and suddenly Joanna felt the weight of responsibility dragging her down. Save who? She yelled, glancing back at him, searching his cold, calculating eyes for anything that could explain this madness. They are your burden now. Without their pain, you cannot uncover your own. He stepped closer, the shadows swirling like smoke around him. It's time to break the cycle. The room began to spin, the mirror flickering with light and darkness. Sweat dripped down Joanna's back, her breath quickening. What cycle? What do you want me to do? Face the truth, he urged, his voice thick with anticipation. Each moment you delay, you let more shadows into your heart. You have the power to free them. But you'll need to make a sacrifice. Joanna's heart rattled against her ribcage. A sacrifice? What would that even mean? I can't sacrifice anything. I don't even know them. Not yet, he'd said, shaking his head as if she were a child. But you will. The web of fate binds us all, and soon you'll see your place within it. With each syllable, the mirror's surface shimmered brighter, as if inviting her to delve deeper into its secrets. She swayed, caught in the dance of memories and regrets, her own past weaving into those of strangers. It felt like diving into a pool with no bottom, and the darkness threatened to pull her under. Let me out. She yelled again, clawing at the air, but the room pulsed with a force that kept her anchored. The laughter intensified, echoing off the walls, vibrating through her bones. Remember this feeling, Joanna, he hissed, drawing back as if to admire his handiwork. You can't escape what you are. The moment you grasp the truth, you will realize freedom requires blood. A cold grip took hold of her heart. The urgency of the whispers from before resurfaced, clamoring in her ears, find it the truth before it's too late. Panic gave way to defiance. She would not bow to this dark force. She would break free. Then she noticed a glimmer on the mirror's surface, an image of the same window she'd seen moments ago, only this time, a reflection of herself reaching out to her. "Joanna?" It called, a voice that sounded like her own but held more clarity. Gathering her courage, she took a step toward the mirror, flinging her heart wide open. "If there's a chance to break this cycle, I'll take it." But before she could touch the glass, the room trembled, and the tall man's laughter turned into a howl of rage. "No. You cannot choose. The past is not yours to rewrite." "What if I don't just want to rewrite it?" Joanna shot back, her hands trembling but resolute. "What if I want to burn it down?" In that moment, she sensed the undeniable pull of destiny. But could she truly dismantle a legacy of pain? As shadows twisted around her, the air thickened with tension, the mirror swirled, and she caught a flash of the woman and child again, their faces twisted in agony, pleading for salvation. One final thought gripped her. Was she ready to confront her own demons and sacrifice everything? As darkness encroached, Joanna felt her fingertips graze the surface of the glass, and a shocking truth snapped into place. Would this act unlock a weapon against the horror surrounding her, or was she simply stepping into the abyss? The mirror's surface shimmered one last time, and then the world shifted. What lurked behind that glass? What sacrifice would it demand of her? The mirror's surface rippled violently, the glass alive with raw energy that seemed to pulse in rhythm with Joanna's racing heart. She squinted at her reflection, bracing for what might emerge. Swirls of colors clashed like storms, lightning bolts of memory and fear striking her soul. Then, a face began to form within the shattered depths. A child, her child. It was a moment stolen from Joanna's past, a snapshot of innocence. Tears streamed down that small face, mirroring the agony Joanna felt in her chest. How could she have forgotten? "Mommy." The child's voice pierced the air, clear and desperate. Joanna stumbled back, catching her breath, swaying under the weight of recognition. "Help me." "No," Joanna gasped, fighting the churn of emotions. "Please, no. Your past is asking you to remember," the tall man said. His voice slithered through the chaos, seductive yet cruel. "They are your sacrifice, Joanna. It's time to choose." "Choose?" she echoed, disbelief slicing through her shock. A choice loomed heavier than any burden she had ever faced. Did she dare risk the lives of the lost souls trapped within the mirror? Or would saving them cost her everything she had left? "Your freedom hinges on their release," he pressed, stepping into the depths of shadow that surrounded them. "But you must dare to take a leap. What are you willing to give up for the truth?" The words hung in the air, taunting and pressing down on her like a weight. As if sensing her turmoil, the images within the mirror flickered. The child's face twisted into that of the woman with tears, flickering between expressions of confusion and hope. "Joanna. You can save us. You just need to look deeper to confront them." The shadows thrashed, desperation clawing at her mind. Joanna felt the boundaries of reality fraying, visions of her life flashing by too quickly, her hopes, her regrets, every stubborn belief she had held. There, buried beneath the weight of it all, lay a truth she had shoved aside, one she wished she could erase. "Look deeper." She trembled. "Why would confronting my past help? It's too painful." "Pain is the key," the tall man asserted, eyes gleaming with dark delight. "Embrace it. Only then will you discover how to unlock the chains binding you." With every ounce of her being, Joanna breathed through the stinging haze of sorrow and despair. She stepped forward, inching closer to the mirror. "If I can save them, if I can tear down these walls, then I have to try." The mirror reacted, a blast of light igniting as she placed her palm flat against the surface. It was hot, as if it were alive, pulsating with energy. At that moment, a wave of memories crashed into her fire, screams, laughter interrupted by silence, faces of those she loved and lost flashing before her like a film replaying at an unbearable speed. "Mommy!" The child cried again, and the pain made Joanna's chest tighten until she thought she would burst. No, no more. She screamed, pulling back. The room trembled violently, as if the very foundation of her reality shook beneath her. This is the choice. The tall man's voice rose, booming with power and authority. Will you accept the burden of truth, or will you allow the cycle of misery to continue? Joanna's heart raced as she felt the clarity of decision settling within her, merging with fear. A pressing thought quarreled with her panic: could she dare to face the pain, break the cycle, and rise? With a raging roar inside her, Joanna snapped her gaze back to the mirror. I won't let them suffer anymore. I will face my past. The glass trembled, shattering under the pressure of her resolve. Dark tendrils burst forth like a tidal wave, swirling around her, pulling her in, merging memories and present moments into a confused blur. Sacrifice is your only path to salvation, the tall man shrieked, his form beginning to dissolve amidst the chaos, but as the shadows clawed at her, Joanna felt strength surging within her. She would unearth her truths, confront the agony that had chained her, and maybe, just maybe, find a way to save the souls grasping for salvation on the other side of the glass. The dark took hold of her, yet instead of despair, she felt a flicker of hope ignite inside. Let us go, she whispered, facing the chaos within, because in that moment she realized the fight was just beginning. What awaited her on the other side of the mirror? Would confronting her darkest truths set her free or consume her whole? The swirling chaos around Joanna faded, and for a brief moment, she felt weightless. Time suspended as she floated between moments, lost memories and new realities colliding in a brilliant clash of pain and hope. Then, as if a switch had flipped, solidity returned, and with it, the room around her crystallized into view. She stood in the very room she had entered moments before. But it felt different, alive, surging with remnants of those who had once walked here. The air vibrated with sorrow and longing, and shadows danced along the walls, no longer threatening, now merely curious. Joanna, a soft whisper called, drawing her attention. From the other side of the room, the child stood, its small frame illuminated like a beacon in the darkness, face glistening with the remnants of tears. The woman from the mirror appeared behind her, sorrow heavy on her face but hope flickering in her eyes. Remember us, please. Help us, echoed the chorus of souls, woven together in their desperate plea. Joanna felt her heart clench. She had come so far. She had chosen to confront her truth not only for herself but for them. I will set you free. I promise, she vowed, the determination flooding her veins. The shadows began to swirl again, forming into shapes that mirrored the pain and sorrow each trapped soul carried. Each image bore witness to the moments of loss, love, betrayal, and regret. The tall man's laughter echoed from the edges, a reminder of the darkness that could overwhelm. Do not listen to their cries. His voice rang out from the depths, forceful and menacing. You are only a guest here. No. Joanna shouted defiantly, stepping forward. I'm more than that. I'm choosing to remember, to understand. I want to turn back. The air thickened, each word spinning reality into a tapestry of light and dark. The woman reached out toward her, the ghostly fingers trembling with energy. You hold the key, Joanna. Embrace the pain. The room pulsed, shadows vibrating with life as if sharing in her resolve. Joanna closed her eyes, setting her intention. She reached deep within to the fractures of her past memories, both painful and beautiful. With each breath, she recalled every moment that had shaped her. The loving embraces, the joy, and the laughter spent with the child now calling out to her. Mommy, please. Her heart broke open. I remember you. She cried, tears streaming down her cheeks. I remember our laughter, our love, and even our loss. In that instant, the memories not only of her child but also of those yet bound merged into a force of unimaginable intensity. The shadows surged toward her, buoyed by her strength. The desperate faces surged with life, and Joanna felt an electric current crackling through the air. Set them free, they urged, their voices now indistinct yet powerful. taking a step forward, she focused the energy radiating from within. I accept our pain. I accept our truth. With every ounce of her being, she felt the mirror shatter again, reverberating through her soul. In that moment, light erupted, enveloping the room. The sound of shattering glass filled the air, as if every hidden truth and buried memory burst forth, flooding the space with pure energy. The shadows transformed into luminescent figures, slowly lifting into the air like delicate leaves carried by the wind. Laughter mixed with tears as the souls began to unfurl their wings, liberated at last from their binding ties. Thank you. They exhaled in euphoric harmony, drifting into the luminescent embrace of the new dawn. And just like that, the tall man's laughter quieted to nothing. The depths of the shadows retreated, surrendering their hold. Light poured in through the windows, illuminating the once dark corners of the inn. Joanna stood there amidst the rubble of the past, feeling liberated yet transformed. The once ominous inn was now washed in warmth, every corner brightened as if renewed. The memories that had haunted her no longer weighed her down but laid the foundation for a brighter future. Joanna, an echo called, soft under her breath. You are home. She realized then it wasn't just about the past, it was about a journey toward healing. It was about moving forward, about learning to be brave enough to embrace what had once been. She stared at the sun spilling through the window, tears continuing to roll down her cheeks, this time mixed with a smile that as the remnants of shadows rode off into the light. Joanna breathed deeply. This was her moment of truth. Turning from the window, she stepped back into the lobby of the Evergreen Inn, feeling the light fill every inch of her being. The inn was quiet now, the kind of quiet that holds a promise, a fresh start. She was not just a guest, she belonged here, having sewn together the threads of countless stories into something beautiful. With resolve as her guide and hope lighting her path, Joanna knew she was ready for whatever came next. That it was over. She had stepped into the dark, faced the truth, and emerged unbroken. And now, she would begin anew. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support and keep up with the exclusive stories coming your way. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support matters, and only true fans understand the importance of acting now.